Ah, Pikmin. Now, if you're anything like me, you enjoy yourself a good old-fashioned picking of mins, but I wasn't always a Pikmin fan. In fact, for a very long time, I really didn't know anything about Pikmin. Despite being a GameCube kid who had the system at launch, I never played either of the Pikmin games on GameCube, and I really didn't know anything about the series. You know, I would see, like, Olimar and Smash Bros, and I was like, yeah, that's Pikmin, whatever that is. It always just seemed kind of, I don't know, weird to me. It never really grabbed my interest, so Pikmin was just a Nintendo franchise that didn't really mean anything to me for the longest time. But then one day, a Let's Player that I used to watch did a playthrough of Pikmin, and I finally got to see what the game is, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, this looks fun, let me give it a shot. So then I finally played Pikmin for myself, and I was like, dang dude, this game is really fun, it's very unique, it's very cool, I am really digging this. And since my enjoyment of Pikmin was thanks to a YouTube video, I feel like I should do what I can to try to spread the word and make my own Pikmin videos to hopefully introduce even more people to the joy of Pikmin, and so here we are. So, for anyone that's not familiar, Pikmin is kind of a hard-to-describe game because there's not really anything out there that's quite like Pikmin. It's a very unique game, but I guess it would be best described as kind of a real-time strategy, time management adventure game. The setup with Pikmin is that you're a little space dude named Olimar, and you have crash-landed on this mysterious planet, and your ship has broken to pieces, and you have 30 days before you're going to run out of breathable air, and so you have to repair your ship in those 30 days. And to do that, you're going to have to recollect your 30 ship parts before time runs out, because that's a big part of Pikmin. There are 30 days, and every day you have a limited amount of time. So you have to hopefully get all of your ship parts before you run out of time and just lose the game. But the other big part of Pikmin is, of course, the Pikmin, because your little space dude Olimar here can't really do very much. You're going to have to rely on Pikmin to do pretty much everything for you. And using Pikmin is very straightforward. Once you get their attention, they're just going to automatically follow you around wherever you go, and then you can throw Pikmin around using the targeting reticle, and whatever you throw them at, Pikmin will automatically interact with things very close to them, so they will automatically attack enemies, or grab stuff and carry them back to the base, or whatever other things they might need to do, depending on what you throw them at. You can also whistle to recall your Pikmin back to you if they're busy doing something or they're idle and you want them to start following you again, then you can whistle, and then the targeting reticle, any Pikmin caught in that will come back to you. And in Pikmin 1, there are 3 variants of Pikmin. You have your red Pikmin, which are immune to fire and do more damage to enemies. You have your yellow Pikmin, who are lighter than other Pikmin, meaning you can throw them higher so they can access areas that other types of Pikmin can't get to. And they can also pick up these bomb rocks that you can use to do big damage to enemies or destroy stone walls. And then you have blue Pikmin, who are the only types of Pikmin that can go in water. Other types of Pikmin just drown, but blue Pikmin can go right through water, allowing them to access areas that other types of Pikmin can't. And in addition to ship parts, Pikmin can also grab other things, like the numbered pellets or enemy corpses, and they will take those back to the Onion, where Pikmin spawn from, and that will create new Pikmin, as your Pikmin most certainly can die in enemy encounters and such, and so it's very important to maintain your Pikmin populations. Oh yeah, and there's a maximum of 100 Pikmin that you're allowed to have on the field at a time. And that's pretty much it for the general core idea of Pikmin. It's nothing too complicated, you just have to use your 3 different types of Pikmin to tackle the various obstacles you're going to find on your way, and collect all of your ship parts before time runs out. And it may or may not sound that great, just me describing it, but for me, what makes Pikmin so much fun is the time management aspect of it. I am a huge fan of games that work on time limits, where like the entire game runs on a single gigantic timer. Things like Dead Rising I'm a really big fan of, or even time loop games like Majora's Mask or The Outer Wilds. I just find like really big time limits that you have to work with to be really cool. They really encourage like optimization and stuff that I find very fun. And also, in general, I really enjoy time management games where you have to learn to multitask and make as much use out of your time as possible. And Pikmin is a game that manages to tick both of those boxes quite well in a very unique way, because of course you have the 30-day time limit, so you have the entire game working on that massive timer, but then individually every single day also has its own time limit, and so you're encouraged to try to optimize and maximize your use out of every single day. And that works really well with the Pikmin and their automated nature, that you can send Pikmin off to go do something, and then you can leave them there and go work on something else. So it really naturally encourages you to try to optimize and try to use your Pikmin as efficiently as you can. And that's where the real fun starts to come in for me, because you always want every single one of your Pikmin to be doing something. You never want to have Pikmin that are just standing around doing nothing. So you're constantly running back and forth all over the map, making sure that all of your Pikmin are being productive in some way. And that takes this very simple and generally easy game, and it really allows for it to become something that you can really dig into and get quite advanced at. A really good part of this that works very well is the fact that you have your base that Pikmin will automatically return to anytime they're carrying something, because it means that as you're going around, you're just naturally going to be losing Pikmin as you go forward. Some are going to be dying from battle, but also some are going to be taking your spoils back to home base, and so the further you venture out for, the less Pikmin you're going to have over time. And so when you run out of Pikmin because you sent your last ones to start carrying something back or start breaking down a wall, you can just head back to your base, and you probably have a big group of Pikmin just sitting there waiting for new orders. And so you can head back, grab those Pikmin, maybe pluck some new ones that you might have grown, and then while your later groups of Pikmin are still working on breaking down walls or carrying things back, you can take this earlier group of Pikmin and venture out once again, and you kind of just keep that loop going of making sure that all of your Pikmin are always busy doing something. And this also plays well into the consequences of making mistakes in Pikmin, because dying in Pikmin is not really that much of a concern. But what is a concern is wasting time. If you head to a new area and you don't have any blue Pikmin on you, and then you get to some water and you're like, shit, I need blue Pikmin. Now you have to run back to the base, grab some blue Pikmin, and run back, and that is eating up valuable time. Also, if you have a bunch of Pikmin die in a fight, then you may be forced to retreat and build up your numbers again, and then come back, and once again, that eats up a bunch of time. Having Pikmin dying is not the worst thing in the world just from the perspective of, like, your units, because you probably have hundreds of Pikmin at any given moment, but the fact that you need to go back and get more Pikmin, and you need to devote time to building your numbers back up if you have massive population losses, that can definitely be a problem. And the fact that you not only have a limited amount of time in a day to do things, but that you also have a limited number of days, that works really well with this whole system, because it even further encourages managing your time very well, because the last thing you want to do is be one ship part short in an area, and so you have to drop in and spend an entire day just to get one ship part, which might only take a minute or two, and then you have the rest of the day that you're just wasting because you didn't need a full day. But maybe if you were a bit more efficient, maybe if you didn't lose so much time to, inefficient play or losing Pikmin or whatever, then you would have been able to get that last part in the previous day and you wouldn't have had to come back. That's a whole day that you lost just for a single ship part. Another fun aspect of this is that at the end of a day, any Pikmin that are not at the base or following you around are just immediately killed, and so you'll want to make sure as the timer is starting to tick down that you have all of your Pikmin with you, that you don't have anybody out doing something that they're not going to have time to do. And sometimes as Pikmin groups are like carrying stuff back to the base and it's getting very close to wire, you're like, come on, hurry up, get it done, don't run out of time, you fuckers. Or you can run into situations where you get back to your base and you're like, what the hell? I only have 70 Pikmin. Where are my last 30? And you just like go out there and you're like, where are you guys? Hello? Where are my Pikmin? Oh god, I can't find them. And then the time runs out and you're like, shit, I just lost 30 Pikmin to nothing. I'm a goddamn idiot. So that's all great stuff and it's all really fun, but what's also really nice about Pikmin is that there's quite a bit of nuance to all these aspects of the game, and there's a lot to think about if you really, really want to maximize how you play. For example, there's also the petals that Pikmin can sprout, where over time, a Pikmin, their leaf will eventually turn into a bud and then to a full-on flower. And flowered Pikmin are faster than normal Pikmin, so they can follow you around faster, but they will also carry objects faster as well. And you can also occasionally find some sap, which will immediately take your Pikmin all the way up to a flower level, so that's something you want to keep a lookout for. Some enemies, when they attack Pikmin, they don't just outright kill them, sometimes they'll just knock the Pikmin down to a lower level, so they'll lose their flowers and they'll lose their speed buff. Sometimes you also have to consider the order you tackle certain obstacles in the stage, because you may be able to send Pikmin out to go grab a ship part, and then they could work on taking it back while you do other things, but there could be a bunch of walls blocking their way, forcing the Pikmin to take a much longer, more roundabout route that ultimately ends up eating more time than it saves by trying to multitask. Maybe it would be better to have them grab that part after you've already destroyed the walls. You also have to make sure that the path that the Pikmin are automatically going to be taking is going to be safe. You have to clear it of enemies, so that way your Pikmin can carry things without issue, or otherwise you're going to send some Pikmin to carry something back, and then you're just going to see your number ticking down as Pikmin start dying because there are enemies in the way. Plus, of course, you have to manage your 3 different Pikmin types, and there can be a lot that goes into that. Like, for example, when you first start the level, you pick how many of each Pikmin type you want to take with you. And generally, it's a good idea to take a nice even spread of your different Pikmin types, but sometimes certain levels or certain situations might call for more of one Pikmin than another. For example, a level that has a lot of water all over the place, maybe you want to take like 60 blue Pikmin and then just like 20 of the other 2 types, so you have less of those to work with, but that's fine because you're going to mostly be focusing on water. But you also got to think about who you're sending back to carry the spoils back to base, because the Pikmin that you send, you're obviously not going to have with you. So if you have, 20 yellow Pikmin on you, and you have to send 10 Pikmin to carry this thing back, you could send 10 yellow Pikmin back, but then you're only going to be carrying around 10 yellow Pikmin, and maybe you're going to need 20 yellows for something down the road, so maybe it would be better to send your reds, but your reds are your combat Pikmin, and if they're going to be enemies you're going to be encountering, you're going to want as many reds as possible, so maybe your blues, oh shit, but I already sent my blues to go carry a bunch of stuff back in that water area, so I guess I'll send the reds. Plus, there's also the Pikmin populations that you gotta consider. You want to make sure that all of your Pikmin types have a healthy number available, so that way if you start losing Pikmin, you'll still have plenty left over, which means making sure that all 3 Pikmin types are getting a decent amount of the spoils. And then to complement that, you have the petals of different colors, and if you have Pikmin collect a petal of their own color, then it will produce more Pikmin than if you have mismatching petal and color Pikmin collect it. There is quite a shocking amount of depth to Pikmin that I really appreciate, and none of it is strictly necessary per se, but all of it is going to get you a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient, and it's going to waste less and less time as you learn all these various different things and start to plan and act accordingly. And that is why I enjoy Pikmin so much. The decision-making in this game is so rich. If you want, there is a lot to dig into here that is really, really fun. I've seen some people refer to Pikmin as baby's first RTS, and for all I know, that could be true. I'm not really an RTS guy, but just as someone that enjoys games that have a lot to dig into and are very, time pressure sensitive and stuff, I think Pikmin is great. Of course, it's not perfect. Every game has some flaws, and Pikmin is no exception. Especially Pikmin 1, it has a number of problems that get ironed out in later games. Nothing game-ruining by any means, but there are definitely some things here that can get a little bit annoying sometimes. For example, the Pikmin AI, when they're following you around, these fuckers are really fucking stupid, and they can have a lot of issues getting stuck on terrain and walls and shit like that. And that's something that they improve in later Pikmin games. They improve their ability to follow you, so you don't really have to worry about it as much, because in this first game it can kind of be fucking annoying. Also, the controls in Pikmin can be a little bit strange and take some getting used to because of the nature of having to control both a character and a cursor at the same time. And for this video, I played through the Switch version of Pikmin 1, which has some nice quality of life improvements, like being able to control the camera with the right stick, and some other nice improvements as well. But I've only previously played the Wii versions of Pikmin 1 and 2, which had really great IR pointer controls for the targeting reticle that worked incredibly well, because you could control the reticle and Olimar completely independently of each other, which was so fantastic, and the IR pointer was super duper accurate and made playing really, really comfortable. But now, obviously on the Switch, we don't really have IR as an option, and so what they've gone for in Pikmin 1 and 2 is kind of like a hybrid between the original controls and the Wii controls, where now the reticle does match up with your left stick controls, and it's like whatever Olimar is pointing at is where the reticle is normally, but you can make it so that when you start throwing Pikmin or start to whistle, you can also use the gyro to control the reticle, kind of like the Wii with the IR stuff, which is okay, but it's not nearly as accurate as the IR stuff on Wii could be, but it's usable. However, I really dislike that the gyro controls on the cursor only kick in when you start throwing or whistling. I find it very strange that that works like that, because I just want to move the cursor with the gyro at all times, and it just doesn't work until you start doing stuff. I find that very awkward. I wish there was an option to just have full gyro cursor control at all times. I think that would be much, much better. Another small criticism would be that Pikmin 1 is quite a short game, which is not a problem to me at all. I'm fine with short games, but in the case of Pikmin 1, it does start to create some issues in the progression of the game, because Pikmin does have some very minor Metroidvania elements that I do like, but they feel very underutilized to me, because when you first start the game, you only have red Pikmin, so any areas or any things that require yellows or blues you can't do yet. You're going to have to come back later when you get those Pikmin types, which I like, that's cool. But you get access to the other two Pikmin types immediately, essentially, which really just feels like it's mainly done as, like, tutorialization, so they don't just dump all three Pikmin types on you right at the beginning of the game. I get that, but it feels like you could have done more with, like, progression of, like, the player gaining more things over time. Because once you have all three Pikmin types and about 80 of every Pikmin, you basically have everything you need for the rest of the game, and you can get that probably in like the first hour and a half of playing through the game, which is a little bit unfortunate. I wish it took a little bit longer to get all your Pikmin types and took a little bit longer to get those populations up, so it really felt like you were progressing and building your army, you know? As it is, it's kind of just like the first hour is the introduction, and then the rest of the game, you just do everything. Which is still fine, I just think that it probably could be a little bit better if there was more of real progression here is all. I do also think the game has a couple of more significant flaws, but they're still not really that damaging to the overall experience. Like, for example, the 30-day time limit, it really doesn't matter at all. You have an obscene amount of time, even if you play very poorly, you don't optimize, you don't multitask, you just do everything in a very basic way, you probably still have plenty of time, which I assume they did to make the game, you know, very accessible for players of all skill levels, but it does kind of make it feel like all of these systems and methods to optimize and improve your time, ultimately none of it actually means anything. But the game mostly manages to sidestep this problem because at the end of it, you do get a little card telling you, you know, your performance stats, and you can see how many days it took you to complete the game, and just naturally you're encouraged to replay the game and try to complete it in as few days as possible. That's what I did for this playthrough. I knew that the 30 days was like nothing, so I gave myself the own goal of trying to beat the game in 15 days, which I failed to do. And then that makes me go, God damn it, now I want to go back and play the game again and try to fix the areas where I made mistakes to do things more efficiently and get that 15 days. And then from there, I try to beat the game in 14 days, in 13, you know, and so on and so forth, getting better and better. Like, sure, this stuff is entirely optional. You don't have to do this stuff, but it's there and you can go for it just for the sake of going for it. I would prefer if there were some greater real consequences to messing up and wasting time, but it still ultimately gets the job done, so I don't think it's that big of an issue. Maybe if there were just different difficulty modes that modified the parameters a bit or something, that could be nice. Similarly, there are some other aspects of the game that really don't matter very much. Like, Olimar has health if you take damage, but the threat of dying is, like, non-existent in this game, so, like, why do you even have a health bar? It kind of seems superfluous. And the idea of your Pikmin population, I love the idea of having some devastating enemy encounter and losing, like, all of my blue Pikmin, and then I have to spend, like, a day or two trying to recoup my blue population, and that could be like, oh god, that's 2 whole days wasted, oh, the pressure. But in reality, you probably have, like, over 100 blues left over anyway, and it doesn't really make that much of a difference. And even if you did have to dedicate time to rebuilding your population, you have so many days that it just doesn't even matter. I know some people get really worked up over just losing Pikmin in general, but I don't know, maybe people are gonna call me a monster for this. I really don't give a fuck about Pikmin dying. I've never been one to get attached to little cutesy creatures in games. Like, I don't care about Pikmin, I don't care about Pokemon, whatever, anything like that. If Pikmin die, Pikmin die. I'm only concerned about the gameplay affecting aspects of that, so it doesn't really do much for me. But again, not really a major issue or anything. Most of these problems that I have with Pikmin really come down to a squandering of the potential, I think. I think the framework and the idea of what Pikmin is so fantastic. I just feel like because they're trying to make these kid-friendly, accessible games, they're really holding back on making like a full Pikmin game that could really push this design to the absolute limit, and I think that would be really cool, but they just don't do it, so we gotta settle for what we have, and thankfully, what we have is still really, really fun. I particularly like how unique Pikmin is. You know, so many games out there, including so many great games, they're just some variation of something you've already seen before, you know, another Metroidvania, another platformer, another shooter, another this, another that. But Pikmin is not another anything, it's entirely its own beast, and in addition to being very unique, it's a really well-made, well-designed game that comes together very nicely. Even if the game has a number of flaws, I really can't say much other than great things about it. I just frickin' love Pikmin. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you want to support me, you can check out my Patreon and Ko-fi in the description. I'll see you next time.